But let's start with China's latest swipe at Australia. Yep, once more, China has decided to hit us where it hurts. China has decided to try to do damage to this country and to our prospects, really, simply because, of course, we value freedom, transparency and working in our own national interests. This one is all about the reef. Of all our natural wonders, the Great Barrier Reef looms pretty large in this country. Famous around the world, it doesn't only support a vast array of marine life, but it sustains a lucrative and vital tourism industry in Queensland as well. Australians love the Great Barrier Reef. We're proud of it, and deservedly so. And over the years, we've been focused on preserving and protecting it, keeping oil rigs and tankers away, establishing marine parks, combating threats like the crown-of-thorns starfish, and minimising runoff from nearby agricultural areas and other industries. There have been plenty of alarmists around talking up the end of the reef, preaching doom and gloom. And as usual, the array of climate alarmists have been especially hysterical, doing that over recent decades. Even the then US President Barack Obama used the reef to make climate change points when he visited Brisbane back in 2014.
Because I have not had time to go to the Great Barrier Reef, and I want to come back, and I want my daughters to be able to come back, and I want them to be able to bring their daughters or sons to visit. And I want that there 50 years from now.
This is typical environmental, emotional blackmail. Do what I say on climate policy or you might lose the reef. They never let the facts get in the way of such alarmism and such baseless threats. The reef stubbornly has shown great resilience, bouncing back from bleaching episodes and from cyclone damage, and continuing, of course, to dazzle visitors. But this is where China has stepped in. China is using the United Nations this time, trying to hurt us. China chairs a UN World Heritage Committee, and it's moving to have our reef declared as endangered. Now, this won't change the health of the reef, of course. It won't make the Barrier Reef any better and it won't make it any worse. But it will help to dissuade tourists from visiting when we eventually do reopen our international borders. So this is just more Chinese aggression directed at Australia, dressed up under the guise of climate activism, of course. Imagine that. One of the most reckless countries in the world when it comes to environmental vandalism, lecturing us on looking after the environment. And, of course, China is by far the world's largest emitter of greenhouse gases, yet it lectures us on climate change. The hypocrisy here is stark. And you can't expect the United Nations to stand up for sanity. More likely they'll just amplify this nonsense. And no doubt extreme green groups in Australia will support this as well. So once again, we have to defend our own interests against Chinese antagonism. It's just pretty sad when the Great Barrier Reef is placed on the front line like this. Unlike the original purpose of the Great Wall of China, the Great Barrier Reef should have no role in spats between nations. And by the way, our reef will outlive that old wall.